So the theme in my life right now, I'm 48 years old, and I'm traveling the world. Sometimes with my youngest son, and sometimes solo traveling. At this moment, I'm solo traveling. I'm in Crete, Greece, and the theme of my life right now is I've been learning a lot of like self-educating on history, a lot of the history that we've been taught, and I've always for like I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 decades, I've been wanting to dive into the history of women. And it started with like back when I was younger, like learning about women's rights and like how we have to fight for that and that kind of thing, like more recent history. But as I've walked through my spiritual journey, I've been wanting to dive deeper. I've gotten into a lot of spirituality and past civilizations and how they used to live, and then most specifically how the indigenous of my island of Puerto Rico um, tied to the past civilizations. And I've just been mapping out like the colonization of the world and when it arrived, kind of walking backwards from when it arrived in my island. And because I've done a lot of soul searching and a lot of like historical learning about who Puerto Ricans are and what we're made of, like what they teach us in the island versus kind of like me moving away from the island and starting to question a lot of things. And so the one topic that seems to be very just strong in my life right now is patriarchy. And I started becoming very curious in the last several years of like how patriarchy, I would say maybe the last couple of years stronger, how patriarchy came to be and how is it that we women have the positions that we have in our society right now, and why are they so limited and why are they so confined. And so, as a 48-year-old woman being a digital nomad, which is not as common as like the millennials or the Gen Zs right now, who, tend to be the ones that take off, don't have responsibilities, children, they're not married, and they tend to take off. I'm the opposite. I started having children at 18. So, I've been raising children for the last 30 years. And my youngest started traveling with me since 15. We started traveling 3 years ago. We took a break, but we started traveling. We went to Brazil, we went to Dominican Republic, we stopped in Puerto Rico because I haven't lived there since I was a child. So for me, it's like a place to visit. I have a strange family there, like family that I don't talk to because it's like I don't know them. I don't know. And I know I should try to reach out and try to connect, but it's just like reaching out to strangers. It's like people. I did visit in 2017 with my siblings, and I did visit my grandmother's sister and her son, so my dad's cousin. So, um, so that's what I've been exploring in the last couple of years and posting about a lot. And so I've been connecting the dots a lot about like where things come from, where these ideologies come from, where they originated. But I don't stop in the what we're taught in the West is that everything started with the Romans and the Greeks, which I'm in Greece right now. Um, Everything started there, that's what they tell us. But I actually have always been interested, even from many years before, in like the Egyptians. And I started noticing how little they told us about them and how they villainized them. And then when I started getting more into colonizing and that ugly history of the world, then it's like I realized the Egyptians were in Africa and they were blacks. And yes, I know Egypt was conquered by Greece and Cleopatra was really from a Greek family. I even started reading this super thick book while I was in Brazil in 2022 about Cleopatra, but I didn't finish it because I that's not what I want to focus on. I put it down because I want to focus on the history that they erased, the history they haven't told us. And so I'm very passionate about women and our place in the world. And so I've discovered a lot. I've discovered how um, black women used to be the priestesses and the ones who ruled the nations and the ones who ruled their people before the Abrahamic religions came and brought in patriarchy with them. And so then I started like questioning and asking about my indigenous people in the Americas. And I'm like, So I just had this thought one day, and I'm like, so this is just in the last year. I'm like, so when the colonizers arrived, the Spanish, the Portuguese, whoever they were, the British, whoever they were, at whatever point in time, um, when they arrived, did they find women as leaders? Because that is nowhere in the books. That is not talked about at all. Um, Now that I started questioning it, then of course now the algorithm feeds me some things about it, more things about it, and then I'm seeing like people are talking about it. So I'm now being exposed to it because I started questioning it and I started kind of asking for that information. So so yeah, then I just thought, so is this why they were so cruel? Because the women, when they found the um, the Tainos in my island, they were called Tainos, the indigenous, and then the other, the Aztecs and the Incas, did they find women in? Did they find that the women were the rulers? And so in with my indigenous people, they were called Tainos, and then the chief was called Cacique. So then I'm learning now and finding out that there were cacicas. It was actually the women that were the leaders and ruling the villages, and not just the villages, but entire like their entire place, their entire the, whatever portion of the island they had. See, people are just seem to be really friendly here. Um, so just like most islanders are just such happy people, because you live in such a beautiful place. Even when you have this, which we also have in Puerto Rico, we have things like that, abandoned buildings and graffiti and things like that. But there are some pretty buildings and some nice apartments, modernized. I'm in a modern apartment. Um, but a lot of these structures are really old, and so that's what I've been diving into. And then I'm working on a project that I don't want to divulge too much um, at, at this time. I'm kind of putting it together, and I also want to talk about the situations and kind of the brief situations I've encountered traveling, having to do with patriarchy, having to do with the treatment of women that I've encountered, and me being such a free woman traveling the world alone kind of tends to bring out like people's it's really interesting, like the attitudes that I bring out in people, in women and men, and like kind of how they react to me, to them meeting me and finding out that I'm traveling alone. And then if they assume that I have no children, and they always take off like about 10 years off my age, and so they assume that I'm an unmarried woman with no children, because why else why else would I be traveling alone? So they just assume, they don't ever assume that I'm a divorcee and that I raised 4 children that are now adults. My youngest is 18, and like I said, he's been traveling with me for the last 3 years. And so all these assumptions that people make, because according to their thinking and their lives and what fits in their mind. So that's very interesting to watch. I'm fascinated by it. And I just like to watch people's like I love to watch me shattering their world, their assumptions, and their thinking, like what? Like they don't understand. They're like, no, you don't have a 30-year-old child. And it's like, yes. There are people who have become parents as teenagers in the world, more than you think, and there are more single parent households than you think, and a lot of single mom households, which constantly get bashed online, because the comments are so terrible. The bullying that happens, by the men on women, single, and even by women, the married women, just bashing on the single moms. It's so disgusting. It's so sad, because they're just like so systemized, so programmed. And I look at these people as like, you don't have any critical thinking. You don't have any like discernment. You're just spewing out what's been fed to you of like, oh, you're a single mom. You must be like a terrible person. You must be, oh, you can't keep a man, or um, you were a terrible wife, or you must have done something. The woman is at fault, like Adam and Eve. The story they fed us. It's Eve's fault. You're at fault. It must be something you did. that your husband left you. Or never do they assume that he died. Like that could be my situation very easily. You know, a lot of single moms are because they're widowed, and just the lack of compassion and the lack of empathy that the world has towards women. And I mean, it's like I see on social media the post that goes around. You know, people post in different forms. You know the state of a nation, or you know, yeah, you know, I think it's, you know, the state of a nation by how it treats its most vulnerable population, which is women and children. Well, let me tell you, every country's failing at that except maybe, um, which one is it? Denmark, where they have women who rule the nation, and Finland, I think, and they're voted happiest country in the world, which is so sad to me because this is what I'm diving into. It's how colonization took away who we were, the indigenous people of the land, like who we were, and how we actually uh, we ran happy nations before this happened, or before all these horrible things happened, and then now we're the ones that are looked down upon because we're the ones who hit our children, spank our children, which didn't come from us. That came from colonization, and like we're the ones looked down upon now. You know, we're the ones who took up the habits and the customs of the colonizers, and then we're judged for it. Especially Latinos, um, we're judged we're judged so harshly. We're looked down upon so condescendingly all over the world, from, you know, the Caucasians that colonized, their ancestors colonized us, and then from also from even from blacks who are indigenous. They themselves are the original people, and we're looked down upon because, and I understand why the blacks, um, some blacks don't like us much. It's because a lot of Latinos act white and they side it with the whites, especially the more light skinned ones. And so us, the from my color to darker, that are Latinos, we're grouped with all Latinos, and it's, unless you're really really dark and maybe you're given the benefit of the doubt, but people my color and just like lighter shades of brown, we're just grouped with the whiter Latinos, and it's so aggravating and it's so upsetting. And so those are the things that have been on my mind and that I'm deciphering and deconstructing and diving into, um, because it just tells a lot about the state of our world and how we are right now and what's happening with everything, you know. And even in the United States, where I don't want to be, I started traveling because I started wanting to find a home. I want to find where to go. And so far, I loved Greece, and because the people, the people are nice, and they don't have that superiority complex that you find in some countries. And also, the food is amazing. The food is really good, and that's so important to me. Like good food, happy people. Like when you have great food and you take pride in your food, you have happy people most of the time in most places, unless you're like in a, you know, major cities where it's like people are too busy to enjoy and take a breath, and they're just grinding, which is most people these days, unfortunately, in the rat race, you know. And so, but good food makes a big difference in a person's quality of life and their, how happy they are, how content they are with life, with their place in the world. And so, and I also loved South Korea. And I need to give an update on the visa because I did some videos in my channel about trying to get the digital nomad visa. And I've been trying since my second visit to Busan, South Korea. My first visit was short, and I left to Southeast Asia because my original plan was to get the visa in Southeast Asia. I even applied for the Thailand one first while I was in South Korea because you could do it online. They denied me because my accounts were with my married name instead of my maiden name, and my new passport now has my maiden name. They denied me. I lost $400. That was the 5 year visa for Thailand. I did it before even visiting, just because a 5 year visa is the only country that's doing that I know of. I haven't checked lately. I haven't gotten updated on that. But as of last year when I was doing it, they were the only country offering 5 years. I just found out that China offers multiple entries to Americans for 10 years, but you have to step out and come back in. The Thai visa was like that. You had to step out, I think, every 6 months, if I remember correctly. This was exactly a year ago. We're in December 2025 right now, and I did this in November 2024 when I was about to leave. October, November 2024. That's when I was a month and a half I spent in um, Busan, South Korea. 3 days in Seoul only, and then I went to Busan. Once I was in Busan, I didn't want to go back to Seoul because I'm a beach girl. I'm an island girl. If I'm near the ocean, I'm happy. Like I don't like major cities that are not coastal. I feel claustrophobic, and it's not my life. It's not. It's very fast paced, usually, and very crowded. That's not my kind of life. And so I applied for the Thai visa. I got denied. I lost those $400. They warn you that you lose it. So I was so upset. And then, so when I left South Korea after I had applied, which was dumb, I'll never do that again. I will visit a place first, see if I like it. Then when I visited Bali, I was headed to Vietnam. They didn't let me in because one digit off in the visa. So I headed to Bali, Indonesia, and we spent 5 weeks there, my son and I, and it was winter. Um, so it was rainy season, but again, quiet, mellow. I was so glad because when we were leaving, it was picking up. The busy season was picking up when all the people come for Christmas and stuff. And right after Christmas and for New Year's, and it was just insane. In Ubud, the town where I was, where it's famous for the rice fields, it's famous from Eat, Pray, Love. Um, the center was just insane. You couldn't even like it would take you so long to get in and come out, and the roads are not paved in certain areas, in certain spots. Like the main roads are, but like once you get into like these little roads with the restaurants and stuff, and it was unbearable towards the end, like our last week there, and I was like, oh no, I'm so happy we're leaving. And so we spent 5 weeks there, just relaxing and enjoying the rain, enjoying the food. I found some good places to eat, but I noticed there weren't many. And then we also took a weekend out of that 5 weeks. We spent a weekend, we took off for a weekend to another part of the island to explore it. And that was really nice. We stayed in a beautiful villa. We actually enjoyed that more because the villa was really modern, really nicely. You could tell it was owned by British because of their books on the shelves. I pay attention to those details, and that was really nice. And we were like in the middle of a very undeveloped area that they're trying to develop now with tourism. We didn't even go to the beach while we were in Bali, as crazy as that sounds, because when we tried to go, you had to pay to get into the beach, and the guy tried to scam me. The guy racked up the price, and then when I looked it up, it was actually less, and he was just adding to it. Just the scams are so ridiculous, and it's so upsetting. It's like I'm such a good tipper, and I like to like give people, I like to help the economy when I visit these places, but when they try to scam me, it's so upsetting. And it's like I don't want to give you anything because you're just like a greedy fuck. So, and just stealing. You're just stealing at this point. So it says a lot about your character. So we went there, and then when we went to Thailand, I picked Phuket. Happened to be the most affordable airfare, and I thought, okay, another island. I want to check it out. Hated it. Beautiful, but hated the people that go there. Hated the people that vacation there. It was terrible. I want to talk about that in another video. And then we flew to Chiang. I stayed there like I don't know Phuket. We stayed like 2 3 weeks or something. I don't know. I can't remember. And then we went to north. We went inland into the mainland to Chiang Mai. Never went to Bangkok because they told me Bangkok is crazy, so crowded and so crazy. So I never went. I came to the conclusion that based on those two places, which I know it's not fair to judge an entire country by like only two places, but based on those two places, that was not for me. They told me about another area. I talked to some people, somebody that I talked to in Instagram that were connected from back in the day, connected me to an acquaintance of theirs. And because my original place that I wanted to visit was Koh Samui. So then I found out that Koh Samui is actually more upscale than Phuket. And that was my original destination. And I could tell because it was pricier. The Airbnbs and the hotels were pricier. You can tell. And the quality of things you start seeing like, caters to people with more money. And then I also found out about a coastal town on that side. I want to say Nahoy, but I could be wrong. I could be remembering incorrectly. Um, I think it's called Nahoy. And when I looked at the Airbnbs, I liked them. It was like my type of place. Like, and so I might go back maybe and visit there one day, someday. But Phuket was not for me. And another coastal town I looked into, nope. It said the same type of people visit there, which I will get into in another video. And then Chiang Mai was just not. It was nice. We went to some really nice places to eat, but and it's more mountain, more lake. It's inland, not coastal. And I found that there's a lot of Americans there. A lot of Americans go there. So then I decided it wasn't for me, and I came back to South Korea. That was last year, and I came back to South Korea in the middle of the harsh, harsh, harsh winter, January, and we stayed there till March. And only 2 weeks into the spring, and our tourist visa expired. I could not apply for the digital nomad visa at that time because I found out that I needed an apostille background check. And the whole time I was there, I was working on that. I went to get the fingerprints, which was really easy to do in Busan at the police station. By the time I sent it, I did it the long way. I could have used the channeler and had it in 24 to 48 hours, but I didn't do that. Now I'm doing that here in Greece. I am taking my sweet time. I've already been here. I was 10 days in Agios Nikolaos. I think it's Agios Nikolaos or Agios Nikolaos. Jeez, I need to look that up. And then which is 3 hours from here, on the east side of the island. I explore there. I spent 10 days there, and then I've been here for 4 days, 4.5 days. So I've been here half a month already. It's crazy in the island in Crete, Greece. And I need to get myself to the police station and get the fingerprints. I found out that Greece, they will let you stay past your tourist visa if you are applying. If you're doing the process, you don't have to step out. You can wait until they make the decision to stay. So I'm applying for that now because my goal is to have at least 2 places to have digital nomad visas, because I didn't want to be in one place just the whole year. I want it to be like, oh, I live here part of the year and then I live over there part of the year. Two places that I like. And so my plan is Greece, which whether it's Crete, which I don't think it will be. I think it'll be Athens for my son. It's a city. It's more. There's more things going on there for him. And then Athens, and then Busan. So unless I find another coastal town or city that I like in Greece, But we liked Athens when we went last year. We were there with our dog, and it's easy to have our dog in Europe. They're so dog friendly. So yeah, and I've done other travels that I'm going to be posting about and talking about different issues. I know I said that last year in my first video in this channel, and then I've just been so bad at like keeping up with anything. It's just been like little random videos here and there, but that's what's happening right now. And right now, we only get 3 months here again. And if I apply for the visa, I'm waiting for the visa, and hopefully I get it to live in Greece part of the year, because it's a really cool place, and I love the food, and people are nice, and I like how they take pride in their food and their customs, and they live by a really beautiful philosophy with people, like helping your neighbor. Um, that's the same with Korea. Most of them uh, follow the Confucian philosophy. Now I know that's a patriarchal philosophy, but still, it's the I like the main thing that they follow. It's about like how they behave towards how they treat others. And that's a big deal when you're a foreigner, because that's a big deal, and you see the treatment of you when you visit their place, things like that. Oh, there's the seagulls. So yeah, I'll be making another video on this. Was like a general one, just just relaxing here at the beach and talking about different things. But I'll be making some other updates. I hope that you stay tuned, and I don't know, maybe I can help other digital nomads and other 40 plus women decide to just like go out there and roam the world and explore like I like to do. Learn history, maybe, if you like that too. And just you getting to know yourself as you travel the world. That's the biggest thing that you get out of traveling, is getting to know yourself. I always look at the wrong side. The camera's right here, but I always look at the where the recording button is. So yeah, I hope I can inspire you to like do things that you want to do at my age. If you raised your children, if you're almost done raising them, if you started young like me, or if they're already adults. And I have seen some other women doing that, you know, online on YouTube. So I hope that I can inspire you, and or also inspire women to start or get their businesses going. That's another passion of mine because I'm a businesswoman, and I've started a few businesses. And the one business that is my main income has gone through several, you know, rebrandings and over the last 20 years. And so I have a lot to share about that too. So yeah, till the next one.